What's going on, everyone? Welcome into Big Time Football Talk. So I want to talk about Michigan, Ohio State, and let's talk about the revenge factor in this game. So, obviously the team where revenge would play a huge role in would be for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Last year did not get the job done. Lost by 2 scores, 42-27 to Michigan. And, most people said it wasn't even that close. And revenge is powerful for a lot of teams. So for Ohio State, I look at 2018 or 2019, they blew a lead against Clemson. What were they up? It was like 16-0. Hit Trevor Lawrence hard in that. It was in that semifinal game. Thought they had knocked him out of the game, and he just came back and went on to lead a comeback. And Clemson came away victorious. And you saw in 2020, Ohio State put in a ton of work in the offseason, really refocused himself, was counted out, doubted heavily in that 2020 game. They came out, got the revenge on Clemson, a nice 49-28 victory over Clemson in that Sugar Bowl semifinal in 2020 the following season. So, revenge will be big for Ohio State. I'm sure that's something that Ryan Day's going to play. The players are going to play. They're going to play that game of using revenge as a huge motivating factor in this football game. But let's look at let's look at the depth charts of both teams. So I wanted to touch on the revenge thing. Let's touch on the depth charts. So Ohio State is a solid offensive line. You got some really big tackles. Paris Johnson at right tackle, and then DeJuan Jones, or Paris Johnson at left tackle, DeJuan Jones at right tackle, excuse me. And then, the receiving core that's been good. Julian Fleming is a guy I think has been pretty disappointing as far as where he was ranked coming out of high school. But obviously when you have such high expectations for all of these 5-star guys, odds are one of them is just not going to live up to expectations. And seems like Fleming's been that guy. But Marvin Harrison Jr. It's going to be interesting because there's a lot of. I'm so anxious to see how Michigan plays Marvin Harrison Jr. in this game, because they could just choose to double team him and completely take him out of this game, which could really leave yourself susceptible to I can't talk. Susceptible to being beat by another receiver. Could that make Emeka Egbuka? Could it Cade Stover, the tight end? Could one of those guys have a monster day to make up for Marvin Harrison being taken away? And I think if you're Michigan, you can at least feel better that someone else did beat you in that game. But you'd have to be really disappointed knowing that. You took away one guy, but you really left yourself vulnerable to another guy taking over the game. So Michigan's got to be aware of that. Let's see what else I want to touch on in this game. So, this is the first time the game's going to be in Columbus since 2018, because 2019 was at Michigan. 2020 in COVID they did not play, and then last year it was back in Ann Arbor. So it's the first time it's been in Columbus in a long time. And like I was joking, they do House of Horrors. On Monday Night Football, on Halloween, they did House of Horrors. And they did, the Cleveland Browns. They went through all the quarterbacks they've had, the graveyard of quarterbacks. For Michigan, Columbus has been a House of Horrors for them. It's a place where they have not won since 2000 when Drew Henson was the quarterback. So you're going back a long time. You're going back before the iPhone was invented, before a lot of, several modern day things had been invented. So for Michigan, this would mean, that's got to be, if we're talking motivating factors, Michigan getting a win in Columbus would be, for the first time in 22 years, which, that should be another motivating factor as well. But I think Cade Stover, to me, Cade Stover's a guy I think will definitely be an X factor for Ohio State in this game. I think that, Michigan is not. I think when they look at Marvin Harrison Jr. is definitely going to stand out. Emeka Ogbuka is going to stand out. Both the running backs, Mayan Williams, Travion Henderson, and Dallas Hayden. Obviously, those guys really stand out as far as what they can do, their abilities. But I think Cade Stover, I know Michigan will respect him, what he can do, but I don't think he'll be a guy that they're definitely going to key in to make sure they stop him. And I think he's a guy that's capable of bouncing off tacklers, picking up key yards after contact. He could be a guy that could have a key first down, in the first half and the second half that could really, spark the Ohio State offense if it is stalling out at times in this game. And, it's shown that it has at times, especially in the Penn State game. So, if the Penn State offense or if the Ohio State offense, is having a hard time and they need a play, Cade Stover could make that game-changing play for him. So, yeah, Stover. Remember, he used to be was a defensive player for Ohio State. The linebacker position, last year was a little bit very iffy for Ohio State, and you look at this year, it looks like Steel Chambers is playing a little better. Tommy Eichenberg is injured and he's questionable for the Maryland game this week. And Eichenberg is a guy that has really helped Ohio State establish their physicality once again on defense, and I really like his game a lot. He's a guy that's really physical in the trenches, not afraid to take on blockers. And Eichenberg he's been a tackling machine for Ohio State. And I've noticed that I don't know exactly what Jim Knowles is preaching because I've listened to a few of his press conferences, and I obviously don't get to watch them practice, but it seems like Ohio State, just that the initial physicality at the point of the attack when I watched their defensive line is definitely ratcheted up a notch. And, the intensity, Jim Knowles seems like an intense guy as a defensive coordinator. It seems like that intensity is kind of is really mirroring onto his players. So, yeah, I would just thought I'd hit on that point. The safety position, Tanner McAllister is a guy at the safety position. McAllister was a guy that transferred from Oklahoma State. He had an interception in that Iowa game. He could be a guy, could Ohio State get a timely interception in this game? You saw last year Bryson Shaw, who's no longer with the Buckeyes, had a interception on Michigan when Michigan was looking to, stretch that lead early on in this game. And after that was one of those interceptions. As a Michigan fan, you're saying to yourself, oh my goodness, here we go again. Here's a crucial turnover when Michigan was looking to stretch the lead. Kind of like back in 2017, if you remember, Michigan's up 14-0, and Josh Metellus, good player. Respect Josh Metellus. He's doing a solid job in the NFL, but dropped an interception, what could have been a pick six, could have gave Michigan a 21, at least probably likely a 17-0 lead, would have had a long interception return that would have set them up for at least a field goal or maybe a touchdown. So what could have been a 17-0, 21-0 lead was not. So Tanner McAllister, they got a few guys that can take it away. Denzel Burke is a nice corner too. He does a nice job for Ohio State. So, yeah, I've kind of touched on JT Tuimelo. I've touched on Ohio State's defensive players a lot. So we'll go to Michigan. In this game, I think we'll start with the receiver, Cornelius Johnson. I don't think he's a guy that necessarily has to have a big game. He had a big play catch in the Ohio State game last year, but I think he needs to at least be involved in this game. I think Ronnie Bell is going to be an X factor in this game, and he's got to be hungry because he didn't play in the game last year. So you got to believe that Ronnie Bell is going to be hungry to make some plays. Will Michigan's offensive line fully be healthy? You saw Drente Jones has been banged up. Oluwatimi, their center, has been a staple in the middle of the transfer from Virginia. He's had a terrific season. Filled in from Vistardis, who was the starting center last year. Trevor Keegan's been good, Zach center. Carson Barnhart's done a good job filling in for Trente Jones when he's been hurt. And, yeah, Blake Corum was interviewed on Detroit Sports Talk today, and he's just said that, he's told his offensive line that, next man up. We got confidence in you. Just go play confident. Go, do you play your game. And that's really what they're, the backup offensive linemen have done. Just stepped in and done their job. So the Michigan defense. So Mozzie Smith, where's he going to impact the game? Obviously in the middle. Like they interviewed Jesse Minter, the Michigan's defensive coordinator, on the John Jansen's podcast, and he said Mozzie Smith, and I had this takeaway too when I watched Mozzie Smith's tape. He's a guy that can really demoralize the opposition when he's left one-on-one, so they try to line him up over opposing team centers and where they can get a one-on-one matchup with the center. Usually the center's the smallest, majority of the times the weakest link. So if they can get him a one-on-one matchup with the center, he can really own that center and beat him get off the block and get in the backfield and get a tackle for loss. And, Mike Morris, Mason Graham. They've got some guys in the D-line. Michael Barrett at the linebacker position. Look, I think Barrett, a lot of his good play, I think you're seeing a lot of the ceiling of Michael Barrett. I think he's a very solid football player, but the Rutgers game, I think he's really, playing his, really showing his full hand and potential. And, if we have Hill Green back, that'd be awesome for this game. But it's been great that Michael Barrett stepped up because, when Nakai Hill Green went down, you really were wondering about the depth Michigan had at linebacker because you knew Junior Colson was going to be a factor after he started as a true freshman. But you gotta love what you've got out of Michael Barrett, and you be exciting to see. He's a guy that'll be kind of debated whether we'll be debating whether he'll come back or not. But Jalen Harrell at the outside linebacker, edge, Jalen Harrell at the edge has been really good. Makari Page is another guy at safety. I really think he's done a great job at the safety position. So Michigan, their speed in the secondary has really been outstanding. And this is not only one of the more physical defenses Michigan's had. It's one of the more athletic. It's one of the faster defenses I can remember, in a long time, of maybe ever since I've been alive. They really just have it all, and they're looking a lot like more of almost an SEC defense, with the speed and physicality. And I'm happy Mike Morris is really taking his game to another level this year because they really needed him to. Last year you had Ojabo and Hutchinson manufacturing a lot of sacks. With Mike Morris stepping up, I think that's huge. You're getting another guy that when you need it, when it comes crunch time, gets you a sack. Mike Morris and Inama Oki too, the transfer. I would say definitely he could be an X factor in this Ohio State game. Kind of like Cade Stover for Ohio State. I think Oki's a guy that Ohio State will respect, but I don't think they'll necessarily make an emphasis to block him or try to shut him down, take him away in this game. So I would say Oki, he would be a guy, maybe could get a key sack, a strip sack sometime. Strip sack would be huge, but, maybe come up with a big-time sack late in this game and, really swing some momentum, really get a key, 3 and out, force a punt, whatever. So Oki could be a huge X factor in this game. But, I'm interested in what the line is going to be. If I had to guess right now what I think the line will be, I'm going to say Ohio State maybe -2.5, -3. That might be off, but I don't know. And, the question I'm just dying to know, and I guess you'll never really know exactly despite the outcome. This maybe would be something if they played once again, is how big of a factor Ohio State playing at home because, top 5 teams have not, or just not won on the road this year. Or top 5 teams have not lost when they've played at home this year. So, Ohio State defending home turf is big. And the horseshoe, like I said, it's been a house of horrors for the Wolverines all the way back till 2000, the last time they've come out victorious in Columbus. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap with that. So excited for this game coming up November 26th, noon Eastern on Fox. So stay tuned for more episodes and clips from Big Time Football Talk. Till next time, peace.